What if I told you we are finally getting the Lord of the Rings game that fans have been asking for like 20 years? I'm talking full open world, Middle Earth, your own character, exploring iconic locations, basically Hogwarts Legacy, but Lord of the Rings. Right now, the rumor is flying around and it just got a major update today that this game is not only real, it's actually been in development for a while. And how we actually know who's making this now. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy here, Chaos, and today we're going to go over everything we know about the new open world Lord of the Rings game. If this is done right, this could be game of the century. I'm not exaggerating. I truly mean that, and that's coming from a true Lord of the Rings fan here. Remember, I read every single comment on every single video. Let's dive in. I mean, could be one of the biggest RPGs of the generation. Yeah, we're going to break down everything and how it actually has a shot to compete with something like Hogwarts Legacy 2. So, before we go down the rabbit hole, let's set the ground rules here. We have no official announcement for this game. I like to front load with you guys and temper expectations. There's no trailer, no title, no confirmed developer, nothing. So if you've seen people saying it's confirmed, it's not. Not yet, that is. What we do have is a mix of official statements. And then we have a chain of leaks that have been surprisingly consistent. Honestly, that's why this one is actually worth paying attention to. So here's the part that is confirmed. Back in 2022, Embracer Group acquired the rights to Middle Earth, basically the licensing side of Lord of the Rings for all the games, the movies, all of it, all encompassing. That was a huge deal because that's what opened the door for multiple new Lord of the Rings projects to start happening behind the scenes. Then in 2024, Embracer straight up said they are actively testing and prototyping multiple new game concepts in Middle Earth. That wasn't a rumor, that was official. So right away, we know one thing for sure. There are multiple Lord of the Ring games being worked on in some form. That's the foundation for everything else that we're about to talk about. Now the leaks. We fast forward to late 2025. This is where things start getting interesting. A report comes out claiming there is a brand new Lord of the Rings game in development. And they described it as a third-person action open world style and designed to compete directly with Hogwarts Legacy type of game. I mean, that's the key line. That tells you exactly what type of game they're aiming for here. It's not supposed to be some niche RPG. It's not supposed to be some massive MMO. It is supposed to be a big mainstream, accessible fantasy game. Now, on top of that, the reports also mentioned around $100 million in funding coming in from Abu Dhabi Investment Office, but that was only partial funding, not the full budget of the game. So we can assume this is a $250,000 game or more. So immediately people hear that number and think, is this going to be Red Dead Redemption 2 level? Hang on. That's not exactly what that means. I mean, if this game is trying to compete with Hogwarts Legacy, which we know Hogwarts Legacy 2 is happening, that'll give us a much clearer picture on what this probably is, because Hogwarts Legacy wasn't Red Dead Redemption. It wasn't a full simulation of an entire world. What it was a really big map, curated locations, you had structured exploration, and a really strong player fantasy. I think that's the sweet spot here. That's exactly what Lord of the Rings should be, because if you try to make Middle Earth as Red Dead scale, you're talking insane time, probably 10 years, and the budget would be insane, and it would also be a massive risk. So to me, the realistic outcome here would be give us a big open world, give us all the iconic locations, not fully simulated, but still very immersive. Now, that's kind of where we're at until the other day. Things literally changed because there were actually two different rumors going around at the same time. First, people started saying that Warhorse Studios, the team behind Kingdom Come, might be making this Lord of the Rings game. Honestly, that made a lot of sense to me. I got excited when I saw that leak. They do realistic RPG worlds, deep systems, grounded gameplay. And if you've ever seen Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, that makes a lot of sense. But then almost immediately, another update dropped saying Warhorse is not the studio for this specific project, and instead, it might be Crystal Dynamics. That's a massive shift because Crystal Dynamics makes a very different type of game. I mean, if it is them, I don't think we're getting a hardcore sim RPG. I think we would be getting something closer to, I would say like Tomb Raider style movement. Think cinematic combat, polished third-person gameplay, and that kind of lines up with the line we heard in the very beginning about competing with Hogwarts Legacy as a competitor, right? Because Hogwarts wasn't about deep RPG systems. Kingdom Come is a very deep game. And like we said, I don't think we want to go that far. So the fact that it could be Crystal Dynamics and the vibe they go for, I think this is good. It's all about accessibility, exploration, feeling like you actually belong in the world, but it's a curated world to a degree. Crystal Dynamics is very good at that. So this rumor actually starts making a lot more sense. So I want to know what you guys think. Would you rather have Warhorse or would you rather have Crystal Dynamics? So now let's talk about the fun part. If this is real, which I do think it is, what would a Lord of the Rings game actually play like? We've had plenty of Lord of the Rings games in the past, but what would this one actually be? I think the safest bet and guess I would go with is a third-person action RPG. So I give you the vibe of light and heavy attacks. You've got dodging and parrying. There's archery. There's stealth options. Maybe there's special abilities that are tied to the lore, maybe for the heroes. But here's the tricky part with it. This is Lord of the Rings. You cannot just turn it into a magic superhero game or it will flop directly on its face. So I think progression would probably look more like weapon mastery. Maybe you have combat styles. Maybe you even have reputation systems. Maybe you have companions. So instead of thinking Hogwarts Legacy flashy spell trees everywhere, think more grounded in the Lord of the Rings Middle-earth universe. And speaking of the universe, the world itself, it's not the universe, it's the middle world. This is where expectations also, I feel like, need to be realistic. This is a hard one to really hit a home run on. It really is. You're not going to get the entire Middle-earth as one seamless map. It's not happening. It's huge. Like I said, they would be working on this for 20 years. But what we could get are regions. So I want you to think like a few major hub locations, and then you have all your surrounding wilderness and everything, and then the connected areas would all be that way functioning instead of one giant map. Think The Witcher 3. Think Hogwarts Legacy. Heck, even think like God of War's structure to a degree. I think that would allow them to make each area feel detailed without going completely out of control, without trying to go completely Crimson Desert or Red Dead Redemption 2. That's my thought. So, I mean, the big thing, I guess people probably debating back and forth, is it going to be like Witcher or is it going to be more like Red Dead? My honest answer is, I'm hoping it's somewhere in the middle. I don't want it as deep as Witcher in terms of the branching story. I don't want it as detailed as Red Dead in terms of the world simulation. I know you may say, why would you not? Red Dead's one of the best games ever made, and Witcher is also one of the best games ever made, or franchise. I get that. But this needs to reside in the right bubble or it's not going to work. So that bubble to me is a strong story. You've got solid side quests that don't just feel like we're doing things over and over again, and you have a really immersive world. We're already going to connect to all the lore and everything, all the familiarity of the Middle-earth movies, right? In the books. That's a winning combo. So let's talk timing here, because this is probably the part that you're not going to like as much. The latest update said the game is still a bit away. And based on everything else I've seen, this is not a near-term release. So if I had to guess, which I like to do on these videos, sometimes we get it right too, I would say 2028 at the earliest, maybe even closer to 2030. Now that is going off the rumors, and if they're true, that it's already in development. This is a huge, huge endeavor. This is a huge game. That sounds far away, but that's just how long these type of games take if they're actually doing it. And the next question is, can it rival Hogwarts Legacy 2? Could it actually compete? And I think the answer is simple. Yes, but they have to get this thing right. They have to get player fantasy right. Hogwarts worked because you felt like you were in that world. You were in the wizarding world. If Lord of the Rings nails that, if you really truly feel like you're dropping into Middle-earth, your own character, your own story, your own journey, it could be huge. It could be absolutely massive. And I mean, the demand for a true open world Lord of the Rings game, it has been there forever. So yeah, that's where things stand. Embracer officially confirmed multiple Lord of the Ring game concepts are in development. There is a major leak describing a third-person open world game meant to compete with Hogwarts Legacy, and around $100 million in partial funding is tied to the project. And then we have the newest leak claiming that Crystal Dynamics could be the one steering this ship. Nothing officially announced, so we're kind of in the middle phase of Middle-earth right now, but who knows? Maybe we get a teaser. Maybe we get a logo or something, or title screen this summer. I'll keep you guys posted if anything new breaks. Let me know what you would need out of this. Let me know how you want the character customization to be in this, and I'll see you soon.